absolutely turn it off. I never play with this on. It just throws you off. There's no need for it. This is probably the most important thing ever in video settings. I can absolutely feel a difference in all of these different settings. That is not true. Hey guys, today's video is a settings video. I'm going to give you a walkthrough and a guide of what is currently being used and just general tips on how you can use and adapt different settings for different situations. So if we go into training first, so we have game speed at 100, that's your standard normal game speed. What I do like to do now and then is turn this down to about 60%, and this makes practicing wall dashes quite easy. So once you get comfortable with using 60%, you can just up it to like 70 and then do the same thing. If you can still do it, then up it and gradually go up and up and up and up. With regards to just using it to get faster, as some people would say, it's alright. Personally, I don't really use it too much. I don't think it's very realistic. The inputs you do on your controller are like much slower. It just doesn't really translate to the game, but like at its best. So I would personally leave that out. If you want to do it, then go ahead. Control display, yeah, that's not really important. Disable goal reset. I like to keep that on. It just kind of makes the transition between different goals you score in Free Play easier. It just doesn't take a whole lot of time. I can just get straight back into it. So I leave that on that. Boost options. 99% of the time I keep this on unlimited. The reason is you want to be in Free Play to just freely use your mechanics. Just push yourself to the limit with speed, quick thinking and everything. Sometimes if you turn this to standard, it makes the gameplay a little slow. You know, you're here, you pick this boost pad up, you boom it. Next thing you know, you're on 0 boost. It takes a little bit to recover. I'd only recommend this to newer players that are really struggling with like boost pathing. Just finding out where the boosts are. Even then, I think there's better stuff you could be doing. But yeah, that's about it really. I wouldn't really recommend using it too much. Now moving on to gameplay. To be honest guys, here nothing is too important. From personal experience, I just leave these a high. CSDS can be good at like kind of, if you're like lagging a little bit, from experience, it can just kind of smooth it out a little bit. Make the game just feel a little more consistent. Then we have show, yeah, this is personal preference. Now, force default team colors. I would recommend that. You know, Rocket League is all about having the same thing every time. You're just playing in a rectangle. You want it to be consistent. So that's when you play like team games, clan games. You know, sometimes the teams might be white. Sometimes they can be like green, purple. You don't really want to be getting confused with that. That's obviously if you really just want to succeed in the game, and winning and just being good at the game gives you satisfaction and you want to be optimal. That's what you want to use, you know. If you're all about just enjoying the game, having a lot of visuals, then you know you can leave that on. I mean, sorry, you can leave that off. Game stat display, you want to leave this. Once again, it's slightly personal preference, but I do leave on the main stats only. It is nice to know when you got a save and when you didn't get a save, when there was a shot and when there wasn't a shot. I feel like it can help you just overall being able to judge where the goals is behind you. So the ball's going in here, I would have gotten a save and the ball was in fact going in the goal, so you know the judgment was correct. Whereas in this, you know, I wouldn't get a save for this, so therefore I know that I didn't really have to touch that there. That's just like a little tip. It won't hinder your gameplay extremely if you have like all stats on, you know. For camera settings, you know, for a lot of people, this is the big one. Personally, I don't switch my camera settings too often. I like to keep it at a consistent, I like to keep it consistent. I have switched it once. So these are my current settings. Field of view, you want to have that turned up. You want to be seeing what's around you. You want to have good awareness of it. So the higher the better. You know, some people do go slightly lower, which is all right, but for me personally, I think 110 is about, you know, it's the best spot. Distance, this is once again personal preference. Mine is currently set to 270. A lot of pro players use 270. I do recommend 270. What I can say here is that I did use 300 for a while. So if you turn this to 300, your car is like a lot further. I know Dark uses these settings, and I did enjoy these settings for a while. But at one point, when I switched back to 270, I actually noticed that I'm starting to get a lot cleaner and better touches on the ball. So it is nice. You have this like wide angle, you can see a lot, but the touches, the quality is not there, you know. So I would probably leave this at around 240 to 300, but 270 I do think is the sweet spot. Height, you want to go 80, 90, 100, 110. That's in about there. Angle, -3, -4, -5. Maybe it's -6. I did use -3 for a while, so it was a lot lower to the ground. It was alright, but once I switched kind of back to these settings, I did enjoy it a lot more. Stiffness, you know, once again, it's just personal preference. Not a whole lot changes. It's just the way your camera follows your car. Not a whole lot to say about this. Swivel speed, I like to keep at a pace where it's not too fast. You don't want it too slow, but I do think when you like turn it to the left, you want it to come back at a pace where you can kind of see everything as it's coming back. Too slow, it's gonna be too snappy. That's why you want your ball cam. And then if you want it slow, yeah, it's just too slow. You know, you're not gonna see it good enough. So then we have transition speed. This, I do recommend having this pretty high. Some people say, oh, you wanna like, you can reduce this because it like makes you less dizzy. You know, I don't exactly agree with that. If that's an issue of yours, that's alright, you know. But I do think having it snappier is recommended, because just the transition from looking where the ball is and you trying to grab boost, you need that to be fast, you know. So I don't think there's any disadvantage of having it fast. There's none. So obviously this is going to make you sick, but you're not going to be doing this that often in game. Invert swivel, you know, this is going to be just moving your camera, so up, down, down, up, you know, it depends how people like it. Personally, I just have this off. Moving on to the control. So here, this is something I do, most of it I do keep quite consistent. I very rarely change it. Like you shouldn't be changing it, but I do have some things that not a whole lot of players do use. So drive forward, this is your standard stuff. Jump is on X, once again quite standard. Boost, I do keep boost on R1. I am like all for it. I don't think you should have it on circle. You can fat finger it by using, you know, X and circle, using the inside of your thumb and then also press the circle with the outside of your thumb. I don't exactly recommend that too much. There is pro players that do get used to it, but you know, with these settings, you have every single finger has their own specific button. You don't need to do any weird things, no claw. It's only the X and circle that you need for aerial right, which I'll talk about later. So I do recommend having it on R1. You can have your aerials a lot faster and so on. So then we have power slide and aerial. You want to have those on the same binding ideally, which is L1 for me. You know, power slide, you do that on the ground. Aerial, you do that in the air. So you can't use both at the same time unless you're landing, which when you land, you'll just be sliding because it's power slide. And that just makes it a seamless, smooth transition where you don't have to be timing anything, you know. Focus on the ball, just that's pretty standard. I have that on triangle. I do have rear view on share because I don't want to have it on R3. I don't want to get stick drift. I hate stick drift. Just notice stick drift. This is just your standard stuff. I do have aerial right on circle. Personally, I use aerial left about 90% of the time. I do use aerial right to recover in very specific situations. My aerial left is on L2. That is something you don't see very often. I've had this for a couple of months now. It took me a good while to get used to. And overall, I do recommend it. It does take a good bit to get used to, but I do recommend it. And for those that don't know what aerial, dynamic aerial it's called, what that does is basically you can control the speed of your spin, of your aerial left or right spin. So what I mean by this, if you look at the controller overlay, I'm going to press L2 and I have it fully down and I'm spinning at just a normal pace that you would normally spin on. Let me just put this back to unlimited. However, if I gently press it, my car starts to spin a lot slower and I can control that speed, which gives you additional control. Now this takes a lot of time to get used to, but I have had moments where I can see, yeah, this is good, this really helps. And one side note, if you are planning to switch, one thing you're gonna have to change is, well, change your mind, is to half flipping. With the half flips do get a little awkward when you are using L2. So you have to like do it in a very weird way where you actually let go of L2. It is a little awkward at the start, but ultimately you just end at the same kind of normal half flips as you would have it on square, which people usually do have it on square. So moving on to the next thing. So we have arrow left on this. Yeah, this is just your normal stuff. I do have squareboard on square. You know, I don't have it on L3 or 3 once again. Don't want stick drift. That's about all the really important stuff here. So steering sensitivity, this is all now extremely personal, just extreme personal preference. Anything from 1, I'd say it's around 4 is good, but that like really pushing 4 is, yeah, that's it gets really high. You want something that you be consistent with. You can be fast by using your fast aerials, you know, using boost, being able to do those type of stuff. That's gonna make you fast, not necessarily putting up your steering sensitivity, aerial sensitivity. I would keep that something that keeps you consistent. You can hit the ball and you just get used to it. So I have mine on 150. I have aerial sensitivity on 150. So yeah, that's about it. Controller dead zone. I have messed around with this a good bit. Personally, I have it on 0.06 at the moment. You want to keep it quite low from personal experience. Yeah, you want to keep it quite low. You want to, if you have a dodgy controller, you do want to up it a little bit because this is the setting that gives you stick drift. But it doesn't give you stick drift, but it'll be, if you do have stick drift, you'll be able to see it. So you do want to up it slightly. Something I do want to recommend, this is purely for the freestylers. If you do put up your controller dead zone to like say, this is obviously extreme, but say like 0.5, it does make your stalling a lot easier, which for me makes a big difference. But if you do put this down to 0.5, 0.6, which is what I keep it at, yeah, it's very hard to stall. It is hard to stall. So moving on, we have dodge dead zone. Dodge dead zone I keep at 0.55, which is slightly on the lower side. I don't backflip personally, but you do want to have this from a range that's around 0.5 to 0.7, maybe 0.8. That's purely because it'll make your fast aerials a little better because you can pull down on the stick a little more and not backflip. I do think that is very beneficial. And stuff like your having empty jumps and like timing them properly, you know, going on the wall, timing them, it makes it a lot easier and you won't be flipping by accident. One more thing about dodge dead zone, which once again it just relates to wave dashes. I mean, not wave dashes. It relates to wall dashes. If you up this, it's gonna make your wall dashing harder because when you're like flipping to the right and then to the left, in this case, you have to like move your stick in a more exaggerated way up and down, whereas if you put this down, you actually don't have to move it all the way from the right or to the left. It's only slight touches because you don't have to go so far. Moving on, then we have controller vibration. I never play with this on. It just throws you off. There's no need for it. It is absolutely just, it's unnecessary. Ball cam mode, yeah, you want to have that on toggle. The rest is just mouse and keyboard things. We're not mouse and keyboard, so I'm not going to look into that. This is just your standard interface. You know, lowering this, making it higher, it doesn't really change a whole lot with your gameplay. Display scale, same thing. Nameplate scale, I do like to keep on 150, which is a little higher from the default. That's purely because you do want to be seeing name tags behind balls, you know. It's just better, you have better awareness. Same with kickoffs. If you do play a lot of ones, you do want to be seeing the name tags behind people that are taking kickoffs. You know, a lot of people faking kickoffs is getting really popular right now. So you do want to see it. In case someone does have a really bad kickoff, you do want to see their name tag. This is just normal soft default nameplates, basic things, metric. Yeah, this is just all kind of unnecessary, not important stuff. Video settings, really important. They are really important. I do play on 1080p full screen. Now this is probably the most important thing ever in video setting. Please, please, please turn vertical sync off. When I first moved to PC, I had vertical sync off. I had vertical sync on, sorry. And the input lag was absolutely just unbearable. I had no idea what it was. I looked through all of these settings and I had no idea what it was. Turns out it was vertical sync. This absolutely changes the way you play the game. You might get a little bit of screen tearing, but absolutely turn it off. Then we have the rest here, anti-aliasing. I do keep this off. This was on something by accident there. Render quality, you want to keep that high quality. That's the only thing that if you turn this off, this makes your game look absolutely garbage. You don't really want to have it absolutely garbage, you know. Render details, that's going to be custom. Just a quick few words on frames. I have switched through a few consoles. I have played on like 60 FPS, then I have played on 120, and I moved to 240. I can absolutely feel a difference in all of these different settings. You want to go as high as possible. Some people say that FPS, that second it goes after 60, I think, your eye can't tell a difference. That is not true. I could tell every single difference every single time. So try to make it as high as possible. I do have a 240 Hz monitor to support this, so that is really nice. The rest here, you want to keep this. Just want to keep this high performance. The reason it was on high because I was recording a video earlier. High performance, performance, performance. You want to have low intensity, and you want to have all of these off. Now, these are settings if you want to be good at the game, have pure performance, play at your best. Now, if you want to have pure fun, enjoy the visuals of the game, which is actually quite underrated. The game actually looks beautiful if you turn up all these different things. There's nice glares, everything like that. But most people are here probably for performance. So yeah, just follow these exact ones. Audio settings, I keep this just slightly lower. I do have my Windows settings slightly higher, so this is all just kind of not a whole lot to copy here. It won't really make you a better player. I do have music off. I don't really like it on. This is just chat, basic stuff, and there's my quick chats. If anyone does want them, I don't think anyone really does, but there is some things I like to do, such as this one here on top. I got it on your left, on your right. Take the shot. Those are nice at the start for kickoffs, especially if you're solo queuing. And yeah, that's about it. Hope you enjoyed this video, and see you in the next one.